The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is definitely looking like it's going to follow in the footsteps of Captain America the Winter Soldier, with trying to talk about the real world today while putting that in the context of an MCU series. So let's talk about the uncomfortable places this series is going to go. So I think most people that watch this channel and listen to the podcast are a little bit more tuned in when we talk about specific worldwide history and how it relates to many of the elements in comics and how they reinterpret them. It's a very well-known fact that Marvel decided to take the Captain America comics in a very political direction in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s even, and touch upon some very hard-hitting issues of what was happening around the United States, and that's never going to change. It only makes sense that Marvel Studios is going to continue to follow that. We saw that with the Winter Soldier movie because they touched upon the corruption in the government and all that. So it makes sense that they're going to follow, as they said, the legacy of the Shield, and some of the bad stuff that happens that connects to that. Now, in real world history, and I don't want to talk about it here too long, you can go look that up yourself, such experiments were done, and people of color were specifically used for experiments during the course of the last 70 plus years, and there's a whole crazy history with this you guys can look into. I'm not talking about comic books, but that's how they came up with characters like Patriot, for example, using real world issues and bending them to fit the Marvel Comics mold. Well, it's really not surprising that recently, one of the people that's involved with the series, Henry Jackman, the composer, said, yeah, it's gonna go in some interesting places, to say the least. Then more was added by other people that are part of the series doing other interviews and stuff recently. Unfortunately, many of those videos have went private or were just taken down, which makes me think they weren't supposed to talk about some of these. But what they go into is the mentality and these issues and how African Americans were impacted by things throughout history, specifically in relation to what they're going to be telling the story here with, which makes me think that the Super Soldier Serum is going to have evolved into something that they really do not want to talk about in the MCU, and that's going to be one of the bigger revelations that Falcon and Bucky go look into. And what exactly have they been doing with this? Now, like the Winter Soldier himself, we saw in Civil War, that was a whole thing that Russia was doing with super soldiers that was very dirty, let's put it that way. And my guess is that the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to reveal that America had their own secret program like this that was probably even worse, and that they were doing things like that they try to cover up, and that's what's being exposed here, and that's how Zemo and US Agent and everything can come around and tie everything together. And that's definitely what I got from many of these interviews and videos that have since been ripped down interviewing people working on the series, because that really seems like the only way you can go when you continue to talk about uncomfortable issues that they're going to tackle. Like, I don't see anything else you possibly could do.